Hello everyone, welcome to another episode. Today I am going to be kind of actually delving in a little more about why I stepped away from opera. I had a conversation earlier today with a friend about the opera industry, and I feel like I have recently been finding myself talking about this a lot, so I kind of want to delve into it a little bit, and I definitely would love to have some feedback on this episode and this topic from all of the people who are currently pursuing opera, for people who like me were pursuing opera and now kind of aren't, and just kind of opening up this conversation. I'm just gonna start by saying I love opera. That's what I went to school for. I got kind of a dual degree. I got it in both opera and theater, so I was able to kind of have like feet in both camps, which was really, really nice. My freshman year of college, I was cast in the chorus of La Boheme, and it was one of the most magical experiences. From that point on, I was like just in love with opera. When I was in college, I did some summer programs, and I just kind of, I got cast in a few operas as like some smaller roles, and I really thought I was going somewhere, right? I always said to myself, like, I want to be a performer. That has always been like the thread of like what I've wanted to do for my entire life. As I started auditioning for young artist programs, that's when everything started to go downhill, I want to say. I don't know if that's maybe the right term. I started having an issue with the application fees, which I know everyone talks about, but I simply could not justify spending that amount of money when I was making nothing. For a while, I was getting like a good amount of work. At the end of the day, I always found myself being kind of an actor first and a singer maybe second. I love singing opera, but I wasn't as happy when I was like auditioning for opera opportunities. I felt so stressed out that I felt like I started auditioning poorly. I'm less stressed out now that when I go to audition for musicals or plays or commercial work, which is funny that I'm doing now. I think that reads that I'm, I'm not stressed out. I'm relaxed, and I have fun for the most part in the auditions. And I feel like with opera, I didn't have that opportunity. It can be a really intimidating atmosphere. I know some of my friends have been in auditions where, one of the guys like took a phone call in the middle of her singing an aria, and like that's just so insanely disrespectful. I bet there are horror stories about auditioning for musicals. I think that sometimes we get so worried about being a quitter that we just keep trying to hammer that circle peg into a square hole, or whatever the saying is. But it's that idea that we're not listening to the signs of the universe, and listening to those signs are so important. And as I started getting more and more work in musical theater and theater, it just didn't make sense to throw all this money into something that I wasn't being successful in. There are so many different things that can call us and that are easy for us and that we love doing, and that we don't find ourselves like having, a literal heart attack before every audition. And that's what we should be doing. We should be doing things that give us life and not take that away from us. And as much as I love opera, I just found myself feeling like oppressed that I couldn't be the artist that I wanted to be when I was auditioning for some of these more traditional opera companies. There are some amazing companies, especially here in the Twin Cities, that are doing kind of like smaller opera ventures. There's like one that does it in like a boxing ring, which is super cool. Mill City Opera, which performs at the Rundown Mill in Minneapolis. There's Gilbert and Sullivan Light Opera. There's Mixed Precipitation, which is a company that I'm really close with. I know I just auditioned for something for like Journey North Opera Company, and I know Loon Operas up in Duluth. I can name all of these wonderful companies, and I've worked for a few of them, and I felt more artistically, I felt more able to really show myself artistically for these smaller companies that are looking to make opera, you know, maybe more accessible, maybe a little different than the traditional operas that the big houses are doing. And so I want to encourage people, one, to, you know, if you are an opera singer, look at some of these smaller companies, especially if you're in the Twin Cities, to, you know, kind of give you different kinds of opportunities. I know a lot of people are looking at those smaller companies, but I also want to say that, like, don't feel like you're a failure if you want to do something different than what you set out to do. I know Kyle Dvorak and I talked a lot about this because he went to school for theater and is now not doing it. And there's this whole idea in society that, like, that means you failed. And it doesn't. It doesn't at all. I don't consider myself a failure. I'm confused and I have no idea what I'm doing and it's all very scary, but I don't consider myself a failure because I'm really, really happy with my choices. And I think at the end of the day, that's really what matters. I'm not good enough to do just one thing. You know what I mean? So here we are. Anyway, so tell me your thoughts on this. I know there are a lot of opera singers that watch this, and I would love to know what your thoughts on, you know, maybe taking your career elsewhere, maybe having a different look at these young artist programs and your approach to them and all this stuff. And I know singing over in Europe is different, and I have some friends who are doing that. So tell me about that. Just, I love communicating with you guys, and I just listen to the universe because it's gonna help you. It's gonna tell you what you should be doing. Like, don't ignore those signs. Listen to your gut. Find what makes you happy. That's the important thing. Have a good week, everyone.